I have around 160 books on my physical TBR and acquiring around 3 books at least a week. I am determined to read as many as possible this year. And what better way than to start a new video series where I choose different ways to pick books from my physical TBR. I'm nervous to say that this is the first episode. Let's mood read for a week. Today is Monday and I am determined to get my physical TBR read. I wanted to do some TBR takedown series where I essentially try and read my entire physical TBR by a means of different ways of choosing. I asked you guys what sort of vlogs you would like to see and most of you said you would like to see a vlog of just me mood reading for an entire week. So I thought this would be the perfect excuse to try and start this little series where I try and read my entire physical TBR. This week I definitely have a couple of books that I need to read for other reading vlogs, not necessarily just mood reading, but outside of that I'm going to be mood reading to the max. I made TBR where my TBR jar picks every month what books I will be reading for the month. I said how much of a mood reading mood I'm currently in. I don't know what it is, maybe it's because the weather is slowly starting to change and the seasons are changing, but I am in the mood to read everything. I want to read some fantasy, I want to read some literary fiction, some romance, and honestly it's kind of stressing me out, so that is why I thought it would also be perfect to start this mood reading today. So with that being said, a book I'm currently reading that I am absolutely in the mood for is Salt Slow by Julia Armfield. Julia Armfield is one of my favourite authors. Private Rights by her, looking over there because it's sitting on my desk waiting to be read, is my most anticipated book for the entire year. Like the one book that I literally cannot wait to read, and I will be reading that one soon. That one, honestly, once I finish this, it might also be my next read, which I'm not gonna lie, I will be in the mood for. But before starting that one, I thought it'd be fun to try and read Salt Slow first. This is a collection of short stories and I am absolutely loving it. Julia Armfield, the writer that you are, I'm literally obsessed with every single thing that she writes. The way that she writes, everything about her novels are perfect to me and perfect examples as to what I really like in literature. So this is the main physical book that I am currently reading, and as I said, I am definitely in the mood for it. I'm halfway through, I'm on page 70 and I'm definitely going to read some more today. I have work in the bookshop today and I really need to leave, so I'm going to go do that and I will see you guys tonight, hopefully once I've read a little bit more of Salt Slow. It's Tuesday, I'm drinking my morning cup of tea. I have work again in the bookshop today. And I've woken up in the best mood for a multitude of reasons. Number one, it's 16 degrees today. If you live in the UK, you know we have not had a spring really this year. And it's finally getting warmer. Literally so joyous. And other than that, I also finished 2 books yesterday and 1 book this morning. And it's not even 9 AM. I'm kind of proud of myself. So to give a little update, obviously I said that I was reading Salt Slow by Julia Armfield. This was my main physical read. I read the majority of the second half at work yesterday and finished it when I got home, and Julia Armfield is like a genius. As you can see, I have no words when it comes to her books. Like, she is definitely, undoubtedly one of my favourite writers. I adored Our Wives Under the Sea so much. It was one of my favourite books of whatever year I read it in. I want to say 2022 maybe, or 2023. I can't remember, but it was one of the best books that I read that year, and ever since, like, I've sworn to myself I'm reading every single thing she writes. I do think that Salt Slow was her debut, and it is a short story collection, as I said, and I absolutely adored it. The majority of the stories in this I adored, don't get me wrong. Naturally, with short story collections, there are always ones that don't resonate with you as much, and that was definitely the case for this. So I ended up rating it 4 stars. I just absolutely loved it. Like, if you have never read a Julia Armfield book before, like if you haven't read Our Wives Under the Sea, you are so lucky. The fact that you can read that book for the first time, if you do choose to do so, please do it for me, so I can live vicariously through you. Just head over heels for her writing. There is something so enchanting and captivating about the way she writes, and equally so haunting. I feel like for me, she has a perfect blend and balance of like gore and horror, speculativeness still with the beauty and eloquence of her prose. I feel like she perfectly balances it all for me perfectly, and everything she writes is exactly what I love and is a constant reminder as to why I love reading. Like every time I read one of her books, I'm like, okay, this is why I read. So yeah, I finished Salt Slow yesterday and rated it 4 stars. Okay guys, my camera is flashing. I'm gonna change my battery. I'll be back. Okay, as I was saying, I got When I Arrived at the Castle by Emily Carroll sent to me by Faber like last week. And so because I haven't read a graphic novel for a while, I saw it on my bookshelf when I was literally about to fall asleep, but like I was still quite awake and I wanted to read in bed, but I didn't want to read like heavy text. I just thought I would pick it up, and obviously because it's a graphic novel and they're always like extremely quick to read and so short, I just binge read it and I read the entire thing. This was gorgeous. If I was rating the book based on like the art style, it would be 5 stars. Like the art style was gorgeous, so gothic, so enchanting, so like atmospheric. But in terms of the story, for me, I do think it needed a little bit more. Like I don't even know how to explain to you what the story is about, and even if I did, I don't think I would want to, because as I said, it's like 30 pages, so it literally, I would be telling you the entire plot. This is literally like a sapphic gothic novel with vampires and like a house and the gothicness and a little bit of like horror in it. It was really good. Just as I said, I wish it was a little bit longer. I wish we had a little bit more plot, like the storytelling. I honestly can't even tell you. Like I don't know what the story was even about, and I've read it. So I think in terms of a rating, though, it does feel slightly unfair because I absolutely adored the writing style. It was just the story for me. I think I'm gonna settle on like a 2.75/3. And then this morning, I'm not really gonna give my thoughts too much on this because it is coming in its own sort of video. I finished finally The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo. I've been reading really slow in April, and I 100% blame Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo, and then I decided to pick this one up. And tell me what Leigh Bardugo puts in her books that makes me feel like I'm slumping. Like I know I'm not slumping. I don't know what it is because I love her atmospheres so much. Maybe because sometimes her text can be quite dense. I'm literally not sure. It just makes me read them so much slower. And I read this over the course of 10 days, which is incredibly slow for me, especially considering I was listening to the audiobook for the majority of it. But I wanted to mention that this morning I did finish this. As I said, I'm not going to update my thoughts on this one because it is coming in its own video, or on my Goodreads. Like I don't know what it was, but I've been updating my thoughts on Goodreads like never before with a book like this one. It's so fun just giving in real time updates on my Goodreads. So if you ever want to see that, or like what I'm actually currently reading in real life, in real time, definitely check that out. My Goodreads is always linked down below, but I've been updating it on there. Other than that, you'll get my thoughts in a vlog. I don't know if it's going to be up before this or after this, but you'll see it soon. So I did finish The Familiar. Obviously now I'm not really currently reading anything. I don't know what I'm in the mood for other than one audiobook. I knew I wanted to read this the second that it came out, and I've kind of been putting it off because I wanted the Works special edition, but I cannot find it anywhere, and I might just have to accept defeat. So I think I'm going to start listening to the audiobook. It is Powerful by Lauren Roberts. The audiobook is literally 5 hours long, and I always listen to audiobooks on double speed, so I'll finish that in like 2.5 hours, which is good because it means another book ticked off. Wait, it's not on my physical TBR. Does that mean I can't read it for this video? Do I buy it in the bookshop today just so it means I can? Okay, no, this is a week of mood reading and I am in the mood to read this, and I know that it is one that I am gonna buy. So eventually it will be on my physical TBR. That could be cheating. I might have to buy it in the bookshop today just so it means I can read it. Well, anyway, if we're actually mood reading, I would love to listen to Powerful via the audiobook. I'm going to listen to it on BookBeat. I do have a BookBeat affiliate code where I think at the minute you can get 90 days free audiobook listening if you sign up with my link. I'll put it in the description just in case anybody does want to sign up. It's not sponsored, but it does definitely help me out financially if you do sign up with the link. So if you want to do that and listen to Powerful with me, absolutely feel free to do so. But I do think I'm going to start the audiobook today. I will start it on my bus into work, and actually we will see if I end up buying the physical copy today just so I feel like I'm not cheating for this video. I have been listening to Noah Kahn all morning. I fear I am back in my Noah Kahn era, so much so that I've been procrastinating just updating you guys because I just want to listen to him all day. But I have an update. I did start Powerful by Lauren Roberts yesterday. Am I out of focus? I started Powerful by Lauren Roberts yesterday. I kind of started it at work. I was like briefly flicking through the physical edition, but I did properly start listening to the audiobook, and I am now 47% of the way through, which is, if I can see what chapter that is. Okay, that's chapter 11. So I'm halfway through and I am I'm enjoying it. My experience with Powerless, I had a lot of people asking me because I was reading it a lot on TikTok. Basically, I keep doing TikTok lives. If you ever want to catch one of my lives on TikTok, honestly, I'm doing multiple a week at this point and they are so fun. I definitely want to try and do some lives over here. If that's something that you would want to see, definitely let me know. I have started doing tons of TikTok lives where we read and we talk about books, and when I was starting doing them, I was in the middle of Powerless, so I was talking about Powerless, and I had a lot of people asking me what I was thinking and how I was feeling about it, and my feelings were kind of conflicting because I rated it 4 stars. I really loved it. It was so fun. But do I think there are carbon copy scenes of the Hunger Games? Absolutely, but it's like they're fun and it's enjoyable, and I had so much fun reading it, so much so that I'm definitely carrying on with the series. I don't think it's the most unique or original thing that I've ever read, or in terms of the writing, it's not the most incredible thing I've ever read, but it is something that I read for so much fun. And that is also exactly how I'm feeling about Powerful, and I'm having so much fun with it. I'm just not taking it too seriously at all, which is definitely what I'm in the mood for. And honestly, it's so nice to read a story from Adina's point of view. If you don't know what Powerful is about, I'm sure you do. It is a novella between the first and the second book for Powerful. I think the second book comes out in July, but it is about Adina, Payden's best friend, who is the protagonist in the main series. So far, as I say, it is so fun. I can definitely imagine, based on if you know, you know, it's gonna get a little bit emotional, which honestly I'm really hoping for because it will give so much more depth to these characters for me. And yeah, I'm halfway through right now. As I say, I'm really enjoying it. I will definitely finish this either today or tomorrow. I'm literally going to listen to the audiobook at every given possibility. And yeah, I'm going to do another TikTok live. I'm also going to start another book, but this book is going to be for its own video. Do I tell you what it is? Yeah, I'll tell you what it is. It's basically Funny Story by Emily Henry. We knew I was going to read it this month. I'm going to start this and I'm incredibly nervous, but all of my thoughts for this will be in that separate video. Those are my reading updates. I'm going to start this whilst I do a TikTok live, and I will see you guys no doubt soon when I have done hopefully a ton more reading. It's Friday. I didn't film anything yesterday solely because, I'm not gonna lie, I was basically on a TikTok live stream for the entire day and then I just filmed for other videos. I do have a couple of reading updates. First things first, guys, I think I found my favourite book of the entire year. Haven't even finished it yet. I'm on page 40, but I don't want to speak too soon, but honestly it could be a favourite of all time. Before we get into that one, I have just finished Powerful by Lauren Roberts literally like 5 minutes ago, so I wanted to come on and give you my thoughts whilst they're fresh. I really like this. I definitely didn't like it as much as I did Powerless for a couple of reasons. I said, like, in all of my updates where I talk about Powerless, I'm like my final thoughts. I thought this book was so fun. I think it's a really fun YA fantasy. Do I think it's cringy? Absolutely. But in Powerless I was able to kind of get over that cringe just because I was enjoying the book and the story so much. In Powerful it was that for me, kind of double, except I didn't enjoy the story as much, so for me it was just incredibly cringy. Absolutely want to emphasize, whenever I say that a book is cringy, that is not me discrediting the book at all. Cringe is good. I love consuming cringy literature. I do think it's a personal preference for me. I do not think at all that a cringy book is a bad one, or if a book is cringy it constitutes it to being a bad book. Though part of me thinks that, and I absolutely do not think that because Powerful was incredibly cringy it diminished the book as a whole. It's just personally for me because I didn't enjoy the plot as much. Perhaps maybe because I was listening to the audiobook I found that so much of the narration was made of quotes that I feel was so trope heavy. Again, I don't think that discredits a book, but for me personally I would have preferred to see more plot and more kind of setting other than those quotes. I do think that Powerful was also incredibly insta-lovey, but obviously if you've read Powerless you do know what Powerful is about, and because of what it is about it kind of had to be. So I do feel like my experience with Powerful is 100% down to personal preference. I ended up rating it 3 stars. I did definitely prefer Powerless. I'm still definitely going to carry on with the series because it is a fun time and I do enjoy reading them. But Powerful wasn't my favourite, but I'm still really happy that I read it, and yeah, 3 stars. But then going back to last night, I was looking at my bookshelves and I was like, damn, I want to go back to my roots and I want to read like a literary fiction. I want to read an adult fiction book, and that is what I did. I'm not gonna lie, last night I spent some time writing, which was such a joy, and it kind of made me want to read an actual fiction book, nothing too like fantasy heavy that I had been doing recently. And one of those that was on my immediate TBR and I knew I really wanted to get to it soon was It Lasts Forever and Then It's Over by Anne de Marken. I've spoken about this briefly, I think in a couple of TBR videos, maybe my spring TBR video, and I've always said that this is absolutely a 5-star prediction for me. I'm not gonna lie, going into it and even buying it, I had no idea really what it was about. I kind of had never heard anyone talk about it. It came into work at the bookshop that I work in, I saw it, I put it out on stock, and I was like, damn, that title is the most beautiful thing I've ever heard. Then read the back, and Alexandra Kleeman, author of Something New Under the Sun, never heard of this book in my life, quoted it as astounding, innovative and utterly original, and DeMarcan has written a freakish classic with wisdom to spare about life, death and the eerily vast space between. I was absolutely putty in this book's hands. I read that and I was like, it's coming home with me, and last night I finally decided to pick it up. And guys, when I really tell you that this is absolutely, right now it feels like it could be my favourite book of the year. I am in such awe of it. Obviously it's an incredibly short book anyway, and I'm only on page 44, so that is an incredibly bold statement, especially as somebody who never rates books 5 stars. But right now, absolutely, I feel like it's going to be 5 stars, probably a new favourite. I just love it so much. There has not been a single page where I haven't underlined something. When I was continuing it this morning, I very much was quite reflective in the fact that I haven't read an adult fiction book in so long, and perhaps that is why I haven't had a 5-star read in a while. Don't get me wrong, I've obviously rated books that aren't fiction and adult fiction and literary fiction 5 stars this year, especially in the fantasy category. Obviously I've been reading a lot more fantasy lately, which I'm so happy about. I love broadening my genres, and if you're not new here, you will absolutely already see that I do read from every genre, and I absolutely love that. It gives me such different sort of reading experiences, and it is such a joy to love and to read every genre. But for me, my favourites absolutely in my heart of hearts still is sort of adult fiction, and I was very much reflecting on why that might be, what specifically in adult fiction I like, and I kind of came to the conclusion that based on my favourite books being like Clarice Lispector, for example. Obviously Clarice Lispector is my favourite author, Near to the Wild Heart, probably my favourite book of all time now, and also adoring books like I Who Have Never Known Men. I love fiction books that don't have linear timelines, a linear setting even, and are very much just musings and commentary and thoughts and philosophy surrounding life and grief and hunger. Books that really hyper focus on the details of living and the details of dying, I just absolutely love, and they always become my favourites, and this is exactly that. As I said, I'm only 44 pages of the way through. It's like 130 pages. I definitely want to read some more today. I am going to go to a cafe right now once I finish filming this clip. I do need to edit a video, but I'm definitely bringing this with me, and hopefully we'll get a lot more read. Honestly, I could binge read this all today. I do not want to put it down, but you know when you're reading a book, especially when you're not that far through it and you are so hyper aware that it could become a favourite and is probably going to be a 5-star, that you don't want to binge read it. Like, all I want to do is read this book, but I'm so hyper aware that it's going to go so quick and I'm only going to be able to read it for the first time again once. No, rather, I'm never going to be able to read it for the first time again. I'm just so hyper aware of that, but I'm absolutely loving it and so excited to carry on and to see if it is going to be 5 stars and a favourite of the year and a favourite of all time. I'm really full of joy that I started doing this video this week, because I feel like I probably wouldn't have gotten to this for ages if I wasn't just doing a mood reading vlog, and I'm happy. I love it. I'm literally having the time of my life. The book is very much reminding me why I love reading and why I love literature and books that can do that. Chef's kiss, I always adore. So yeah, this is the one that I'm now focusing all of my time and my devotion on, and I will update you once I have read a little bit more. Oh my god, I'm really nervous to see and hope that it is a 5-star. Guys, before I even give you a new update, I need to show you my new sweatshirt. I've seen so many people on here and also Instagram talk about this small company called Literature Stitches, and I swear to god, I saw so many of their designs and I've been wanting one for so long, and then I saw this one which was Once Upon a Broken Heart inspired, which now we know is one of my favourite series. I did film my entire experience reading that series, so if you want to go and watch that video, absolutely feel free to do so. It still stands as one of my favourite videos that I have ever done. But I saw that they had this design and I literally just had to get it. So it says every story has the potential for infinite endings, and I am literally obsessed. So if you start seeing me living in this in every single video, I'm obsessed. Like, I'm gonna have to buy a million of them now. But to keep up the positive vibes, it lasts forever and then it's over. My favourite book of the year so far, it was 5 stars. When I tell you that my experience reading this book, I think I read it at a really good and important time for me. I was kind of having a massive flare up all throughout April and then the beginning of May. Themes that this book talks about, which I will go into, it resonated so much with me in the moment, and honestly it was one of those reading experiences where I was like, okay, I was meant to read this at this time. I don't even think in my last update where I was talking about how I was feeling about this so far and I had started it, I didn't think I even told you what it was really about. When I tell you that this is absolutely my perfect book, I feel like there aren't many books out there where I'm like, okay, this was written for me. This one, honest to God, like every single element of it, I feel like it was written for me. So in It Lasts Forever and Then It's Over, we are essentially following this girl who is in the afterlife. We know that she is dead and she has passed on, but she can't really remember her real life. She can't remember the life that she lived, and more importantly, she can't remember her name, and it's her trying to navigate the afterlife, trying to remember. All she can really remember is something or somebody that she loved, and this person or this thing that she constantly talks about is constantly referred to as you. I think having that as a narrative choice in this book was phenomenal, because obviously it feels like she is talking about us, which obviously she isn't, but it just opens so much discussion and interpretation, and I absolutely adored it. Obviously too, because we are following her in the afterlife, it is so emotional. She is basically in the setting of a hotel with a couple of other people who have passed, and it's just them trying to navigate their life now, if it is even a life, what defines the afterlife and what defines their death. They are essentially just rotting in this hotel, and I feel like with this book it is open. I feel like I could honestly write an entire dissertation on this. I was speaking to one of my colleagues about it when I was still only like 50 pages of the way in, and how I was feeling about it, and in terms of its philosophy, how it resonated with me so deeply. We opened such interesting discussion, and in this, so many times the word zombie is used, and when I was first reading the book, I was like, okay, that is clearly a metaphor for how she sees her life post-death. But really, as you carry on with the book and in hindsight, you really do consider that perhaps actually she is literally a zombie. I'm a huge The Walking Dead fan. I love literature surrounding death and life and that philosophy. The writing in this is so poetic. It talks a lot about like hunger and what that means for survival. All of these themes I loved, mixed with the fact that I am a The Walking Dead nerd. Like, The Walking Dead was my entire life growing up, and I'm back in my The Walking Dead era. I am rewatching it. I ran out of storage, and I feel like I'm gonna yap on forever about this book. But as I was saying, it is literally a mix of all of the things I love. And really on a surface level note, if you take away everything else that this book is, it is kind of like if you were watching The Walking Dead and there was like a zombie, and it is from the narrative of the zombie who still experiences, even more so maybe than when they were alive, hunger, and the hunger that they have now, how it differs to hunger when you are alive, what it means when you are dead but you are still roaming a world of the dead and the living, and how you grapple with that and you come to terms with that and the philosophy surrounding that. This book was so unique and so perfect for me. As I also keep saying, the quotes were phenomenal. Like, literally, I'm not even joking, every single page I underlined something. I feel like it's only right that I read you one or two of my favorite quotes. I mean, as I was saying, like, as you can see, the dog is. I have a lot of favorite quotes. I'll pick a couple at random and just read them to you to try and convince you to read this book, because like I said prior, I had never heard anyone talk about it, and I feel like this is a book that not everyone will love, but so many people will love. I will definitely say if you have similar reading taste to me, especially in terms of the literature and the like literary fiction that I read, please give this a go. One of my favorite quotes still, which was literally on page 41 when I last updated you, was, "I begin to see the intervals between their flashes as connective, a constellation of sentient stars separated by time instead of space. I feel it inside me, the static blankness of my arrested cells and the uncertain space between them. It is not hunger, it is grief." Sorry? Honest to God, I can't. Like, I will actually start crying if I genuinely think about this book again. Oh no! Guys, my eyes are actually watering. What is wrong with what is wrong with me? Another one that I really loved was she was talking about the kind of emptiness of a night and the solitude of nighttime, and says, "I think this is emptiness itself. I think it is more the emptiness of a church than the emptiness of an empty house, big and high ceilinged, and nothing in it belongs only to me." I can't! This is undoubtedly my favourite book that I've read so far this year, and honestly, like, I'm shaking. This is the best feeling in the world. This was such a nice reminder. As I said in my sort of April wrap up, I was kind of slumping slightly in April. I felt like I was getting into a slump. This was such a nice reminder and a refresh as to why I love reading so much. Honestly, it's one that I'm going to be thinking about forever. It went straight on my favourite shelf on Goodreads, and it takes a lot for that to happen because there are only 12 books of like any book that I've ever read in my entire life that I will put on that shelf, and this instantly made it up there. I don't think I'm ever going to stop thinking about this. As I said, 100% recommend it, especially if we have similar taste in fiction and literary fiction. If you like books like I Who Have Never Known Men, especially ones that are quite post-apocalyptic but in a very speculative sense, definitely recommend. If you like The Walking Dead, obviously it's incredibly different, but if you like The Walking Dead and some of its themes and you like literature like this, 100% recommend, even more so than that, because I feel like it's perfect. I fear I'm never going to stop talking about this. Dare I say, I'm going to exhaust this recommendation until the day that I die. I'm sorry, like it's going to be in every single video now, but yeah, please read it. The best book that I've read so far this year. I'm so happy that I decided to do this video because I feel like otherwise I wouldn't have read it for a really long time. Now I'm quite literally dying to carry on reading some more literary fiction and to go back to my roots slightly, because I feel like they, as I said, are always just my favourites. So if anyone has any literary fiction recommendations, I mean, there are tons on my shelf that I need to read, and I do not need to be buying more books, but if anyone has any recommendations, I'm always all ears. That was It Lasts Forever and Then It's Over by Anne Marken, my favourite book of the year so far. Let's see if it's still my favourite book by the end of it. I'm so happy. And yeah guys, that is where I'm going to leave the video for today. I'm not going to lie, did I kind of forget that I was filming this over the weekend last week? Yes. Kind of. I've had really bad brain fog recently, absolutely due to my flare-up. I'm definitely on the other end of it, or coming out of the other end of it, I hope, thankfully. I hope that next week I can start posting like 2 times a week again, because that is my ideal posting schedule. I know you guys really love that, and I'm really appreciative for all of the love that you guys are giving me right now. We are so close to 10k, and honestly, like, I will actually cry. But yeah guys, I hope you really enjoyed. If you have read any of the books that I also read in this video, or now you're intrigued to, definitely let me know. If you watch until the very end of this video but you don't really know what to comment, but you want to show you stayed until the end, comment any blue emoji, obviously, for It Lasts Forever and Then It's Over. And yeah guys, again, a million times over, thank you so much for being here and for spending some time with me, and I hope to see you again really, really soon with another video.